Okay, good to see everybody. Welcome back to CrossCountry Mortgage Campus. Good to have everybody back here, just like it was good to have the players back here as they arrived in the snow globe yesterday. Just to have them in the building, in the weight room, in the classroom. There's an energy that our players bring. So that was awesome to see everybody here and working together. So they're in those meetings throughout this week. Phase one, as you know, it's really the classroom and the weight room. We'll transition into phase two in a couple weeks where we'll get out on the field with the players. But, again, bringing that energy and great to see. And with that, I'll take any questions you guys have.
What's the main message during these early days with these guys? You're bringing in a lot of new faces, all kinds of turnover.
I think to that point, Tom, with those new faces, you have to come together as a team. 2022 team is different than 2021, and that's just the nature of the NFL. As we all know, there's new faces, there's new coaches. We have some new staff members moving people around. So part of that is just getting around each other to come together as a team. It's really the number one goal. Now, that's not the only goal. We have to teach and reteach our systems. We have to learn and relearn our systems. But we want them to know that this building and this campus is a safe, competitive, fun place for them to be during this offseason program.
I assume you've spent a little bit more time with Deshaun in the last couple of days. I'm just curious about your impressions of him.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really nice job, learning the system. He's spending a lot of time with Jacoby and Josh. We really have three new quarterbacks in there. So there's a lot of learning that's going on. There's a lot of teaching, as you can imagine. I think he's doing a nice job of diving into it. And there's really no way to do it other than to start at square one and go back over how we call things, formations, defensive terminology, etc. And he's doing a nice job.
You've had him for about a month now, Kevin. So how much different will the offense look with Deshaun than previously?
Yeah, we've had him for a month, but really we've only been able to talk football in the last week. So we're just diving into that. We're talking as a staff. We're talking with Deshaun, understanding some of our concepts that we're tweaking and those type of things. So those are ongoing, but it's April. And we'll continue to work through all of that this spring.
Kevin, what's been the interaction with Baker Mayfield? What are your plans? Do you expect to see him? Has he been told not to show up?
Yeah, Tony, I'd tell you that's a unique situation. It's fluid, and we'll just continue to work through it as we go each day.
I mean, you don't expect him here?
It's a voluntary program. What we won't do is we won't say who's here, who's not here. It's voluntary. The guys that show up, we're excited that they're here. We're excited to work with them. But guys that were here yesterday might be here Monday. Guys come in throughout the week. So we're just going to make sure that the guys are here, that we're working hard.
Characterize the attendance so far?
It's been good. How's that? You're the wordsmith, Tony. I think more than anything, Tony, I think it's fun that the guys are back in the building. This is really the first phase one that I've had with the guys. And you can't do a ton of football other than the classroom, but I just think there's great value in them working out with their teammates in here, developing those relationships, which, as we all know, were hard when we weren't together, and then were even hard when we were in the building and you had to spread out, and you had to have the locker rooms were spread out, and you had the plastic up in between the lockers. So I think those barriers, so to speak, are down, and it's such an important time to come together as a team.
You have obviously overhauled the quarterback room, the skill set, and athleticism, and so forth. Do you feel like you have to overhaul your system, or can you just adapt and pivot to that skill set?
Well, I think we definitely have to adapt to our players, and certainly the quarterback is so important in what we do. So we will make sure that we do what Deshaun does best, what the quarterback room does best. So those are the type of things that we're working through as we study, as we've studied Deshaun and Jacoby and Josh, and understanding what those guys do best, and make sure that we can do that come September. To get there, though, there's a lot of meetings, there's a lot of install, there's a lot of practice that has to occur to ultimately tell you how much we will change.
With the Denzel extension, just what does it mean to you to have him kind of locked in, both on and off the field? What does he mean to this team?
Yeah, I think it's outstanding for Denzel, for his family. He's earned it, the way he's played, the way he's conducted himself off the field, what he's done in our community. He speaks to the type of culture that the Haslam family has in this community, and Denzel just embodies that. So excited to lock him up. He's a good football player at a really premium position.
He's a pretty quiet guy with us, but I mean, is he one of the leaders in that locker room? And that's
Yeah, I think, he's going into, what year is he going into, 5? Yeah, so I think he's certainly found his voice from a leadership position from playing so much football, and the guys respect him. He puts the work in, he plays hard, does it the right way, so I think he's certainly developing his own voice.
Going back to Deshaun and even Amari, is there excitement as a coach to have new guys that you can, find stuff or, just trying to get the best out of the offense? Is that exciting to change some stuff?
Absolutely. I think for our coaching staff, I think anytime we add a new player, we really go into that room and put the tape on and get on the board and talk about what we can do with those players. Now, as I've said to AVP many times, there's no shortage of plays. You can put a lot of plays up there, but it's more about what do our guys do best and how can we utilize them so that they're doing their best. So in a guy like Amari, for instance, the routes he runs, where do we want to line him up? And those are the type of conversations that you have when you want to acquire Amari, and now it's a matter of putting that into practice. And again, phase 1 is just the classroom. We can't yet get on the field with him, but there'll be a time for that.
Expose everything, but like when you look at Deshaun, is there something that one particular area that you're really excited to be able to get to work with him in?
Not one. No, I wouldn't tell you one particular area. I think it's a body of work with him.
How much input will Deshaun have in the kind of offense that he's going to run, and how is that looking between the two of you now in terms of working on the playbook and adding things that he really likes?
Yeah, I think Mary Kay, with the quarterback, you do want this to be a collaboration, and it's really all quarterbacks are different, and you want to make sure you meet them where they are. Deshaun's very open-minded to trying different things that he hasn't done. Similarly, we're very open-minded to putting in schemes that he has a lot of success in that we haven't done, for instance. So it's an ongoing conversation, but just I would tell you day in and day out with him, just spending time with him yesterday and today, he wants to certainly grow as a player, and he wants to try different concepts. And I think that's the beauty of the spring and, if you call May and June, where you can get out on the field and it's somewhat of a laboratory, and you try those things out and see what fits. And there's going to be a bunch of things that we hope fit, and you take that into training camp, and certain things that maybe he doesn't love, you don't do, because it's just ultimately what our quarterback is most comfortable doing.
I got asked a similar question about Deshaun, but just in these few weeks that you guys have had Amari, what have your first impressions been of him, and what are you most excited about in terms of his skill set?
Yeah, Coop's been great, very responsive to coaching. Amari, as you guys will know, maybe do know, he's not the loudest guy in the room, but he's very, very thoughtful, very, very intelligent, has been productive really every year he's been in this league, is a good teammate. Just watching him work there in the weight room and seeing him around his teammates, I think he's a guy that really works hard. He puts in the work. He's not somebody that's skirting around the work in any way.
Florida and today you mentioned the value of having this part of the program for the first time. Is it more X's and O's or more team chemistry?
Yeah, I don't know. It's both. Whatever the breakdown is, it's definitely both, because I just think we've all been through that virtual remote world, and it's doable. It's hard. And I think there's just such great value in guys sitting down and breaking bread together, which seems simple, but we haven't done it. So to have the guys in the cafeteria, to have them in the locker room together, in the weight room, the classroom, it's just putting people around each other and starting to develop those relationships. It's really important.
All three of your quarterbacks share some physical characteristics. They're bigger, they're mobile, they run with the ball. It's not coincidence, right? Why did you feel the need to reshape your quarterback room physically?
Yeah, I think we felt like we added 3 good players, and ultimately they do share some skill sets, Tony, not all the exact same in that regard, but certainly, like you mentioned, bigger, a little bit more athletic, the 3 guys together. But ultimately, it's what those three guys do best, and there's certainly a thread of things that they do well that we want to make sure that we're utilizing.
Did Deshaun address the team yesterday or today?
I'm not going to get into what guys are talking about Scott necessarily. I would tell you he's done a nice job being around the guys.
Has he told you that he's going to have to miss some of the voluntary program for any of the legal things that are still going on in Texas, or is he expected to be here the whole time?
Yeah, I think we'll work through those type of things. As you know, there's ongoing proceedings, and we'll make sure that we work through those.
Make sure the guys avoid all these distractions that are going to be swirling around. They are, and they're going to be for probably a while.
Yeah, I think, Marla, that's what our guys do really well. They're professionals, and they know that when we're in the building, we focus on what's in front of us, whether it's in the classroom or the weight room, and eventually when we're out in the field, that's being a pro, is making sure when you're in this building, you're here to work, and that's what the guys are doing.
Back to Baker for a second. Last week he had some pretty strong comments about feeling disrespected by the team. I was just wondering your reaction to hearing that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the specifics of those type of things, Tom. Again, it really is a unique situation, and we'll just work through it.
It's early, and right now you're doing the team bonding chemistry aspect of it. But as you're entering these training programs and the OTAs, have you had a chance to look back at last year in terms of the injuries and the approach to it as you're doing these training programs? And if so, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on that front as an organization, and we certainly wanted to address those things that came up. And as you know, sometimes soft tissue injuries are unavoidable. We want to avoid the ones that we can. So we'll continue to try to be smart with our players when they're in this building, utilizing the resources that we have in this building, and being smart when we are not in the building and when they leave here to go work out in the summertime before training camp, being smart about what they're doing. But it definitely, we want to be intentional about anything we do when it comes to injury prevention.
Yet if you are able to bring in more of those resources, that was a point last season where it was kind of limited on who you could bring in and what kind of programs you could offer.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to see around the league that buildings are more open to having those type of resources. And I think, like I mentioned to you guys, I think a couple weeks back, you'll see what we're doing in this building in the next couple days to address some of those things.
The recovery room that you guys are building in the old weight room, how much of that was a result of that feedback that we had asked you about at the end of the season that you got from players? And just, what's your expectation of the impact that that's going to have once you guys get that done? Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily characterize it that way, Daryl, that it was a direct response to those type of things. I just think it was a great vision by people in this building, support from ownership to better think about that space. When I first got here, we never thought we'd move the weight room full time into the indoor facility, and we've done that. And I think we've even done it better in the last couple weeks as we've reimagined that space. So that was part of it, getting some smart people together and talking about how we could better utilize that space. I'm not one of those smart people to talk to you about exactly what they did, but in due time we'll have somebody talk through that.
What did you like about Brissett? Why did you feel you needed to make a move there versus the Keenum trade?
Yeah, Jacoby's a young football player who's played a good amount of games, understands how to win, has really been in some different systems that have allowed him to grow in his football intelligence. Really quality person. I think you guys are going to get a chance to talk to Jacoby in a little bit. Quality person, very, very intelligent. Just felt like his skill set was something that would match up real well with our offense.
How have your players received Deshaun Watson just in terms of, some of the off-the-field stuff? Are you noticing that he's being embraced by his teammates, and what's the energy like amongst them?
Yeah, I certainly think he's being embraced by his teammates. Mary Kay, we're in day 2 of the offseason program, so I think it's like any player on your team that's new. It takes time to develop relationships, and I think now is that time. So what they do in the building here, when they go leave this building, spending time together, I think those things happen naturally.
Couple more. Have you encouraged Deshaun to broach the topic of his legal situation with his new teammates as he tries to build relationships?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into specifics there, Nate, but I would tell you with all of our new players, when you're first around your teammates, there's a process that you go through and getting to understand people, and you can't do that all at once and meet with have lunch with the entire team type of thing. But over time, I think Deshaun, like all of our new players, understand that you have to spend time at it when you're talking about developing relationships.
Has the Browns gained any better understanding about when a suspension decision might be determined by the league?
I don't have an answer for that right now.
Who was Jacoby's?
I was going to ask Jack Conklin. Do you know, I don't know if he's here, of course, but...
He's here, and he's working really hard. I don't have a date for you, but he's on schedule with everything. He's doing a nice job.
How valuable is Jacoby's starting experience given the possibility that Deshaun could be suspended?
Yeah, I think it's valuable. I think you have a young player that's played a good amount of football in his career. He's won games. He understands how to play the position. He understands how to take care of the ball, how to lead. He understands how to win without getting any reps in a given week. So he's done a nice job. He's been a starter and a backup. I just think there's value with that position, understanding his role and understanding that his role can change in a moment's notice.
Knowing the potential suspension looming, how does that change your approach with your new quarterback room as a coach and trying to plan ahead? I imagine it's kind of a challenge to get these guys obviously ready, and it's still early.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of our job is to get to plan that everybody's got to be ready to play, and then as more information becomes available, then we can adjust how we structure practice, how we structure, rotations, those type of things. But absent that information, I can't really speculate just yet. But certainly, as more information comes out, we'll be ready to adjust and address any new information.